Hello, my name is Rachel. I am a mother, a knitter, a crocheter, and attempting to do a knitting slash crochet podcast. Today, I just wanted to do a quick video to film some updates about my projects, as well as just share some reflections while it's still quiet in my home. With that said, we'll just dive right in. First things first, I have suffered the worst thing that could ever happen to someone who is in love with knitting and crocheting as much as I am: tennis elbow. I heard about it from other podcasters. The first time I heard about it was when I was watching Fruity Knitting, when Andrea has shared her experience of getting tennis elbow. And then another podcast that I watch, Michael from Peace for Peace, he also shared his recent knitters or slash tennis elbow. And I had noticed this pain a couple of weeks ago, that when I was working extended time on certain garments, that I would get this pain right here in my elbow, and it started to make its way up to my pinky finger as well as my ring finger. And I talked to one of my colleagues who's also a sports medicine trainer, and she named that most likely that I have swelling in the area. And although I may not see the swelling, it's there, and that I need to get a brace, which is what I'm wearing now, and ice it. And so I did that, and the pain didn't immediately go away. I also incorporated some yoga stretches that I knew that could potentially help. And then finally, I just took a break from knitting. So for the first time since the first month I started knitting, I took 3 days away from knitting. And that is the longest I have ever gone without knitting. When I say I fell in love with knitting, I fell in love with their heart. I've always been into crocheting. I love the beautiful blankets and garments that you can make with crochet, as well as some other intricate activities. What could do with origami or gurmiani. I always say that wrong. Little plush stuffies that you can make. So I've always found that interesting. And when that summer occurred of sitting here in this room and picking up a pair of not Susan, the cheap, they're like inexpensive, bold. I forgot the name of the brand, but it's one of those brands that you can get from any big box store, or even your market stores for crafting as well. So I picked up a pair of those, and I started knitting that day and haven't looked back since. And so I am coming up on my 3-year anniversary of reteaching myself how to knit, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the rhythm of it. I love the fact that I can process my thoughts. I can listen to an audiobook. I can watch a really great movie. I can engage with others. I mean, there's just so many possibilities with it. And in addition to that, I can make something beautiful with my hands, which is the best part about being a crafter, is that your hands is producing something, and it just warms my heart. So with that said, being unable to knit for 3 days like crushed my heart. Like I didn't realize how dependent I was on it. I had noticed that I always bring some project with me. It's either a sock project, cap project, scarf, sweater, whatever you name it. Whatever I'm working on that's easy to bring with you, I will always bring that with me whenever I'm traveling or going to some small distance, whatnot. So the past few days have been a little challenging, not being able to knit. However, yesterday was my first time knitting. So I stopped. Actually, I guess I went 4 days. I stopped knitting on Monday. So Sunday night was the last time I did knitting. And then Monday I came home. I iced my elbow, put a little bandage, little brace around it to help reduce the swelling. And then I to stop. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no knitting. And yesterday was the first time I picked up my knitting needles to work on the socks I'm making for my friend. I had the wonderful opportunity to go see Rory Wood Jr. He did a show here in Boston, Massachusetts, and it was really entertaining. He made it very clear that he wasn't there to talk about his interpretation of like the political climate, nor did he want to talk about his experience on the Daily Show. He just wanted to talk about his life, whatnot, and it was nice. It was really nice. I enjoyed myself. It was a nice break from all the craziness that's happening in the country and the world and whatnot, just to be able to take a breather. But today I had so much work I needed to do for some of my side gigs I do as a teacher, because contrary to popular belief, teachers don't always make as much money as people try to say we do. And so I have a couple of other little side jobs that I do in order to supplement my income. So after I was successful in completing that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try knitting for today. And I did. I picked back up my test knit. As you can see, I have not made as much progress, and this test knit is due on March 24th, and today is March 16th. So it's not a lot of time, 8 days to complete a sweater. And the question is, can I do it? As you can see, it's a texture sweater, and it's an all over texture sweater. But the great thing about this pattern, although it is an all over texture sweater, is that it's pretty intuitive. And it works up really well because you are knitting this on a 4mm knitting needle. I got gauge. It's working up really nice. I actually tried it on and it fits. So it's not as oversized I had envisioned when I had agreed to do this test knit, but I do like the fact that it's fitted, and I can't wait to wear this on those cooler days here in Massachusetts. I'm using a superwash yarn, so I know I will be able to wear it in those warm, we're in this like warm, cool phase where it's warm during the day, but it's very cool and cold at nighttime. And so we pretty much will stay in this weather pattern until May. And by May, we will have consistent warm weather, whereas April, it's a hit or miss. I have definitely lived here when there's been moments of sleet that have occurred. So Massachusetts weather is special. It can be all over the place, and you just got to go with it. So I'm excited that I'm using this particular yarn to make it up. And as you can see, it's coming along really well. I just need to make more progress. It looks smaller than what it is on camera, but I promise it does. I'm using it's easier to push the stitches aside when I'm using a shorter cable. Sometimes I do like to use a longer cable so I can see the width of the garment, but for this I need to constantly push my stitches forward, and so for me it's just a lot easier just to keep it on the shorter needle so that way I can do it. I have not been doing continental knitting for this particular project, given the fact that it is a test knit, and B, it's cables and other textures. I just chose to stick to what comes naturally to me with this English flicking that I'm doing. But my hope is that for my next like stockinette all over either shirt or sweater, that I do it in continental or Portuguese knitting, whichever. If I can keep my index finger down, it will be the Portuguese knitting. No, it won't be Portuguese. It's the Arnie Carlos called it something. I can't remember. It just like completely just left my brain, but it's a form of continental knitting. But anywho, that's my goal. So hopefully I can have this finished by March 24th, and then work on my 2 pairs of socks because I would like to get those done by the end of March, and then pick up with my Copenhagen cardigan, and then obviously focus on my son's blanket. I have until September to get that done, so I'm not like super pressed for that. However, my goal is also to still finish that cable sweater I started earlier this winter. I've not made significant progress on it because I've done a couple of test knits and gift knitting, so I haven't been able to focus on that. So my hope is to at least get that done so that way next fall and winter I will have this finished garment that I can wear and enjoy that. I'm okay with not being able to wear it right when I finish it, as long as I can wear it at some point. In terms of what I'm going to cast on after I am done with these current projects, I'm not sure. It's really ambitious to try to finish all projects by the end of March. So my goal is more towards April to get what's currently on my needles done. So that way the month of May, I am focusing on just whatever dream project I want to do. A part of me wants to do another cardigan, another part wants to do another pullover, but I'm also loving the experience of knitting socks. So we'll see. I just genuinely want to focus on finishing obviously this test knit, but also the cable sweater I've been doing, the cardigan as well, before I picked one. I am going to be doing the knit along I mentioned before, the Helen Stewart knit along. So I'm excited about that because it's my first time doing a knit along by her using that particular pattern. So super excited about that. And we'll see how that particular endeavor goes. It starts on March 21st. And I believe it's going to go on for at least 2 or 3 months, hopefully 3 months. So that way I won't feel rushed to work on that. And I'm also doing it with my knitting group. And so that should allow me the motivation to get that particular product done. There are other items I'm interested in. The Amy Slipover is something I'm still highly interested in. I think about that quite often, maybe because I look at the pattern book almost every day. And I still want to do the Moby slipper as well. So a part of me is thinking about doing a couple of vests later in May or June, because it's a little lightweight and I don't have to worry about sleeves as much. So we'll see. I don't know. I just know I thoroughly enjoy wearing my tessellated vest that I made. It looks so amazing. I wore it last week and I had such a ball with it. It's perfect. And I also wore my DRK everyday sweater, and I love it. And because the garment or the material of that particular sweater makes my collarbone itch, I wore it over a button down shirt. It looked good. It looked really good. So I'm really happy with my decision. I'm hoping to make another lightweight sweater. Other than that, I don't have any other projects or acquisitions to share. I haven't purchased any new yarn in a really long time. Well, it feels like a long time, but it really isn't that long. But I'm curious, I am going to go the whole month without procuring any new long. I did, however, buy a new book. As I mentioned before, I do like to support as many small businesses, women-owned, any other marginalized group, that owns their own company or is trying to get their company up and going. I try to support. And I came across on Instagram this young woman who is an author who wrote a fantasy book. And so there aren't too many fantasy books written by Black women. I'm a big fan of fantasy, from like historic forms of fantasy, which like Legendborn, it brings a lot of more current events as well as the history of chattel slavery in America. But I'm really enjoying the narrative of that. I'm actually in the middle of listening to it now, and I have about 3 hours left to finish it. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to finish it before Libby rental expires. And what else? Obviously, I love the Court of Thorn series too. So I'm a huge fan of fantasy. I was a big fan of Twilight and obviously Harry Potter. So I'm curious about this one because this is supposed to be a little spicy with a little fantasy. So I'm gonna give her book a try. And if I don't like it, it's okay, because sometimes you even go to see a movie with high hopes and it may not be good. And I have definitely read books by authors who I didn't know I was going to like them as much. And then I fall in love with their writing, and it's like, it's all I can read. I'm going to read everything that they've ever written. That happened with me with, Lee Child. I had randomly read one of his books, and Lee Child, and I had to read all of them. And so I spent like this was during the pandemic, if I recall correctly. I just randomly purchased all of his books from the thrift store and read them all and thoroughly enjoyed it. The same thing happened with Vince Flynn. I love political thrillers or like CIA secret agent type books as well. And he writes along that particular genre. Oh, well, he did write because he passed away a few years ago. But anyway, I read one of his Mitch Rapp book series and I was like, ooh, I want to read more. And I ended up, again, going to the thrift store and buying all of his books and reading them. And I've also read the more recent books that are being written by his ghostwriter, who's actually doing a really good job. I like the direction of where the story is going. It's a little different than what Vince Flynn was going with the story, but I like it. It flows. Like he's been able to mash up. The first time he wrote a full book, after it didn't like gel as well, but the ones after that, it was like, okay, you found your rhythm, you understand the character, you understand what the fans are wanting. And so it's feeding into that. So I need to look and see if there's any new ones out recently, because it's been a while since I read it. But yeah, I guess that's really about all I wanted to share. Number one, take as many breaks as possible. Stretch your arms, stretch your wrists, stretch your neck, your back. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm about to sing that Adina Howard song. But do as many yoga poses as you can. I'm a big fan of Yoga with Cassandra. I've been watching her yoga YouTube channel for years, ever since I developed sciatic nerve due to stress in my lower back. And I've been on her YouTube channel, and after doing 2 of her online free classes, that pain alleviated itself significantly, and I started to do it more and more, and I found that I developed a little bit more upper body strength that's never been my body type. I've always had weaker upper body. My legs are super strong, but it was always my arms that did not reflect the strength of my legs. And doing those yoga poses with her, because she has various challenges. She does 30-day challenges at the daytime, nighttime, all different types of things, keeps you really engaged. Excuse me. And she really teaches you how to do the poses. I didn't feel like I had to come in knowing how to do yoga, because I didn't. And so I felt supported through that. There were instances when I was doing a yoga class where I felt like she had told me, make sure you drop your ear, the whatnot. I was like, how'd you know? But so I definitely would recommend Yoga with Cassandra. I thoroughly enjoy her YouTube channel. She does an excellent job of keeping you engaged, as well as teaching you how to do proper poses. And I've never been injured by doing one of her yoga classes. So that would be a recommendation I would have. And then obviously taking breaks. As hard as it was for me not to engage with picking up my needles, because believe me, it was hard. It's all about my life. Like I shouldn't say my whole life, but it is a very big part of my life. Everything I do with my free time when I'm not caring for my family or doing stuff with my friends or my non-knitting friends or working, I'm knitting. And even when I'm doing all three of those things in some capacity, I'm knitting. Anyone who knows me always associates knitting with me. So it was very, very hard for me, not to knit. So it's therapeutic, it's peaceful. There's so many beautiful adjectives I can give this particular craft. So I'm so grateful that my body is feeling much better, and that I definitely can feel the swelling going down. I can now bend my elbow without feeling a sharp pain here. It would just radiate here. And I've had the feeling back in my pinky finger as well. And I'm forcing myself to take breaks. So I've done 3 rounds of this particular sweater. So now I'm going to take a break and go eat dinner, and I'm going to pick it back up. I hope to finish this before the due date. But the great thing about test knitting for Veronica Lindbergh, other than the phenomenal clarity of her patterns, is the fact that if you're unable to finish within the due date, give her the direct feedback necessary for her to develop a pattern. And I've already given feedback, and any additional feedback I would share, it has already been shared with her. So I don't want to be repetitive just to say something just to say, because that's a waste of her time. Instead, I'm going to promote my work and my love of her work. I definitely love the sweater, and I will be finishing it. So even if I don't finish it by the March 24th deadline, it will be completed. It's really such a beautiful sweater, and I'm so happy to report I do have enough yarn. I was able to pull apart more skeins of yarn that was held together, some of the skein of yarn that was held together with mohair. So I'm officially well over the amount of grams I needed to do the size that I'm test knitting for. So I'm very happy about that. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in really quick and listening to me share my updates, and also offer unsolicited feedback and suggestions about what to do when you're feeling slightly discomfort from your knitting or crochet experience. One final thing I would like to add in regards to crocheting is it's one of the reasons why I don't crochet as much as I used to, other than the fact that I'm obsessed. I developed severe wrist pain here, like right here, if you can see on a camera, when I was crocheting, because how do I hold my crochet hook? Yeah, I hold my hook like that, and it's not quite pencil, but it's not quite knife. It's like a combination of that, but it depends on what hook I'm using and where my thumb placement is, because for me, I like the indent where my thumb can rest against it, but I have to be careful because sometimes I lock my thumb and then I would start developing pain in my knuckle. So with that said, I started using little hand compression bandage. And believe it or not, there's a really inexpensive pair on Amazon. You can, that's in the cloth form. They have them in blue and pink and gray. And I put that on, and I promise you a lot of the pain I was feeling here in my hands went away. The issue is I was still feeling pain in my wrist. So I was able to find another hand compression that also put compression around your wrist as well as your hands. And it had these little lines to it. It's like back there. I don't want to go and reach, but check out Amazon, check out the reviews, and you might see some that you like. If you're crocheting and you're noticing that you're getting some hand pain or wrist pain, That would be my suggestion. The other thing to keep in mind is also around your neck. The way that you're sitting might be an issue as well, which is the reason why I currently sit in this chair, but I have a pillow behind me in order to make sure I'm sitting up, because I notice when I slouch, that's when I develop more neck pain. And I don't know, the way my back alignment is. So many different things that happens. It's like, body, just do the things I need you to do, because I'm in love with this craft and I need you to keep your life together. So anywho, I am going to put this down, which is easier said than done, eat my dinner, and then wait for my family to get back. They went on a little adventure. My sons got a chance to go run at the track, because today was the first day. It was like super warm out during the day. So they went to run at the track while I cleaned the kitchen and went grocery shopping. And when I say grocery shopping, I had groceries delivered, because I don't like going in the store if I don't have to. And then I cleaned my refrigerator because it needed it bad. Somebody who shall remain nameless in my house apparently spilled some syrup in my refrigerator, and no one bothered to tell me until well after the fact. So anywho, I cleaned all of that up, and the boys wanted to go back outside again, and they asked to go for a walk. So near our home, we have a beautiful pond. So we went for a walk, and that took a good hour of our time today. So I'm glad I got a chance to do some quality things with them today, and my husband got a chance to as well. So all in all, today has been a really good day, and I hope that you're having an amazing day as well. I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting in general. And for those of you who are celebrating St. Patty's weekend, whatever way that you're celebrating it, have a wonderful time. If you're deciding to have some adult beverages, drink water and make sure you bring snacks, okay? Especially if you're doing a pub crawl here in Boston, Massachusetts. Have snacks and drink water, and after 9 o'clock, just be careful. My fingers are crossed for you, okay? Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.